To the Victors Nation show. I'm your host, Jason Robinson, with me, Derek McCarty. Trey Fame and Spirit. He's under the weather right now. He's on PTO, but feel better, dude. Like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for free. Also follow us and listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you've missed the action tonight. So, Derek, what do we got going on tonight?
Yeah, so Big Ten Media Days. Basically, the signal that football season is here. So Michigan's getting ready to report to camp and get started with fall camp and practices. But Big Ten Media Days took place last week, so we're going to recap some of our key takeaways from Big Ten Media Days and finish up with just some updates on things to keep an eye on as we expect something in the near future to come from the NCAA investigation into Michigan. Yes. So, like Jason mentioned at the top of the show, however you're tuning in, whether you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Pods or watching us live on YouTube or on Facebook, be sure to click the like button, be sure to follow, be sure to share it with other Michigan fans. We're getting into the exciting time of year here where we are going to talk about Michigan football, dream about Michigan football, think about Michigan football, drink Michigan football, breathe Michigan football, and hopefully it's another really, really exciting season like what we got to go through a couple years ago. But let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about some of our takeaways from Big Ten Media Days. And let's start with the key component that is running the show with Sherrone Moore. So one of the things that really stuck out to me from the things that Sherrone Moore talked about during Big Ten Media Days is team culture. The talk about building a culture, maintaining a culture, being able to balance that culture that was kind of built under Jim Harbaugh with the modern era of NIL and now revenue sharing, with the overriding theme being the team over me is what they're focused on. And he kind of owned that last year was not necessarily what he had planned or hoped for in his first year at Michigan, especially on the offensive side of the ball. It was probably the absolute worst offensive football that we will ever see as Michigan fans. I think it was the worst that we've ever seen.
Couldn't throw a forward pass.
We could not throw a pass. Yes, we could not pass the ball. But I think he said it best. One of the first questions that he got is what lessons do you take from last year? And his answer was that's a perfect word to use, is lessons. That yes, they took lessons. They learned. They got better throughout the course of the year. They came together, but being able to basically look at last year and figure out a way to get better because of it, not beat down because of it. And that's something that I think is really important in building a strong culture is you either win or you learn, right? And so I think being able to look at a very poor year offensively, a year where it really took several weeks into the season before the defense came together with a ton of talent on that side of the ball. But to see improvement throughout the course of the year and to see the team stick together, hopefully Michigan's better because of it. But he sounded positive. He said that they're going to put on a show this year, and he sounded confident. Now, there's a lot of coach speak in there, but I kind of the tone of it felt challenged and inspired, not come in and talk out of the side of my mouth and just say coach speak. It seemed like there was a certain level of confidence that this team is going to take a step forward. Yeah. What about you, Jason?
For sure. You could tell with like the players when they spoke as well too, and then Sherrone. But basically, uh, what you kind of talked about Derek as well, like a little bit ago, but not losses, but lessons, right? So he was asked about that. Very good question, but it's very team mentality and culture built. And you heard some of the players talk too with like some of the struggles last year. It's a quick transition. Not everything was pieced together, but it was a big chemistry, I think, issue as last year too, from winning a national championship and this huge overhaul of players and coaching staff. It was tough. It was a weird transition for sure that it needed to happen quick. But as far as what Coach Moore was saying as well too, so the theme for this year is team over me. So with NIL, the transfer portal, it's easy to look at yourself as an individual person or as an individual contribution to the program or an individual player instead of the team to take advantage of some of those things. So I do like that theme this year going forward. So team over me is the theme. And then Derek, you mentioned the speed bump, right? So that roadblock. Don't let a speed bump become a roadblock is what he talked about as well, too high level. But let's face adversity because we're still going to continue to face adversity. It's football, and we faced a lot of it last year as well too. But it's time, like he said, it's time to write a new story from Team 146. So last year, we're moving on. But he also talked about just some of the culture as well too, but not just being a good player on the field, but like also being a good person, still an athlete, but then a student as well too. So really, the culture hasn't steered too far off. And I think when he was talking about, I think it was the second question. Correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember, but he was asked about Oklahoma. So week 2 right out of the gate. It's a tough one, tough environment, but it's a really good answer. Like it's a true test. So win or lose, like they're still going to learn a lot. And it's better to lose early than late, obviously. But they're playing in a tough environment. First away game of the season, and it's a first away game that's going to be a tough one week 2, and it's a night game in a hostile environment. But either way, I think he answered it correctly as well too. They're going to be ready for it for sure. This team wants pressure, but either way, I think it's going to be a good learning experience regardless, win or lose. I still think we win, but I think we're going to win every freaking game. Got asked about Bryce Underwood growing, building himself as a player. So the 3 players that Bryson, Moore, and Hausman, that they were talking about Bryce as well too. But so still building himself as a player as well too. Really good teammate and student right out of the gate. And then he also talked there. I know we talked about before we went live, but the receiver room. So the standards have definitely changed. So everyone talks about, the quarterback play was so bad last year. Like, well, also we had some receivers that weren't running proper routes as youth. Just a different offense as well too. I think Chip Lindsey, which is the last question besides the quarterback room that Sherrone had. It was he's brought a lot of knowledge. He's been a head coach before. And it's been an incredible transition and just the football smarts that Chip brings as well too, and how he's going to change this offense, but not the culture, right? But it's very outstanding so far from what he has done. So home run hire in that aspect. But as far as like the wide receiver room, talked about McCulley, great weapon, aka should have been a Wolverine last year. Marsh, young, but is going to be very dynamic. We talked about the other receivers, Morgan as well too, but they've done a really good job. Kendrick Bell as well too, but done a really good job changing that perception of that position group in that room. So it's going to be interesting to see for sure. But I thought like what you mentioned too, like long story short, it was about business. You could tell it in his voice tone. You could tell it in its responses as well too.
Yeah. A couple comments came in right away. Brett, like I've said before, this team is going to shock a lot of people. Gosh, I hope so. I feel pretty confident that it's going to be a good season, but we're homers, so we're going to feel like that regardless. Dre, out sick today.
Love you, dude.
Miss
PTO.
you, Dre.
We got
Corey, hey boys, there are your topics for tonight. I'm trying not to get too hyped, but man, if Bryce Underwood is even close to what he's supposed to be, things could get real fun real fast. I just got to remember he's still a freshman figuring it out. Yes, absolutely. So Bryce Underwood was talked about by Sherrone Moore, obviously, the 5-star freshman that is expected. Sherrone Moore said that he is not going to be given the job, that he has to compete for it.
Yes.
I think 999 out of every 1,000 people that follow college sports feels like Bryce Underwood is without a doubt going to be the starting quarterback week 1. But he's only 17 years old. So absolutely
he doesn't act like he's 17.
Right. But that's where we got to temper expectations a little bit, I think, is not only is he a freshman, he's 17 years old. He'll be 18 by the time the season starts. I think he turns 18 in like the next month or so. But he's playing against when he goes up against Oklahoma and USC and Ohio State, he's going to be playing against guys that are NFL ready. And that's going from playing. I played high school football in Michigan, not at the same division level as what Bryce did. I played in small schools up in the UP, but going against playing Michigan's not this hotbed of high school football talent. There's a couple of programs like Cass Tech that churn out some pretty good football players, and Belleville and a few solid programs, but it's not like Texas or Florida or Georgia or even Pennsylvania, California, right? It's not the same type of talent that they're producing out. So he's going from playing against high schoolers in Michigan, which is not a hotbed of elite talent for football, to playing against guys that are going to be in the NFL next year, guys that could potentially be in the NFL in some cases had they decided to go to the draft instead of come back for their NIL deal, right? So I think that's where we got to remember is that he is young. He is going to be learning. He is going to make mistakes. They are going to protect him. They're not going to put him in a tough situation to just go out and sling the ball around.
He ain't built like a normal 17-year-old either. I just keep going back to like Corey's picture too. Yeah, he's a big dude, but like I don't know Corey's profile pictures and stuff. You were like watching a movie with Emily. I told them to watch Dazed and Confused, but I don't think they're gonna.
All right.
What's up, dude?
Draper. Excited to see our defense. E-House and D. Moore spoke like they're focused. Yep. Absolutely. We'll get into some of the takeaways from those guys, but absolutely. I think our defense is going to be locked in. Dre, Oklahoma will tell us everything we need to know. It's still early. Even if Oklahoma does not tend to go the way we want it to go, it's a road game against a big-time program. I think that it's a road game against a big-time program that is down, but we'll see once the season comes. But think back to what can happen from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, right? Think back to, I think, 2018. Michigan started the year at Notre Dame and lost. That was Shea Patterson. And and then later, I think they ran the table until the Ohio State game, and they're favored in the Ohio State game. But that was the year where they had that stretch in the middle of the season against Michigan State, Wisconsin, and Penn State, maybe, I think. A 3-game gauntlet against programs that were ranked in like the top 15 at the time, and they ran through it. So even if an early season game doesn't go the way we want to, with a 12-team playoff and with it being a non-conference game, I think there's a lot that could still be learned from that game. Michigan doesn't have the money like Southern States to blow it into their football programs. They don't, and it's not a year-round state either. So in the South, sometimes the advantage is that they don't have the winters that we have, so football can be more of a year-round sport. Now with the emphasis on gyms and workout centers and stuff like that people have access to, Sure, it still can be, but you're right, Brett. It's it's not the same.
So like just like real quick, like back to Dre's comment too. So like, yeah, it's early, but for sure, I mean there's gonna be some things that like, is this gonna be a long-term fix, or is this gonna be a short-term fix as well too on what we're looking at, especially compared to last year. So saw a lot of missed tackles, saw a lot of miscues, saw a lot of lack of communication in certain position groups as well too. Like, is the coaching staff prepared to make adjustments? And we've seen Wink make those right away. I mean, holy shit. The last few games of the year, that's a huge turnaround just for him, just talking about him. But, Dre's still right for sure on this. Like, it's early, but for sure, what are these fixes going to look like long term or short term? So it'll be interesting. And then we got Corey. Yep, sorry.
Corey.
Oh my god.
Date night, boys. Wish me luck. Wink, wink.
Right.
So not everyone knows, but Corey is one of our friends, and so Corey, good luck. Hope you clean the toilet for Emily before date night.
Unfortunately, yeah. And then Draper, we'll see you in Ann Arbor, Hopcat. We'll see you there, dude, on the 29th. So love it.
So
we got another one real quick from Draper.
Thinking about what Derek said, other side of the coin, what if the game is too fast for Bryce? Is our quarterback room ready? I still think that I still think that I think he is such a unique talent, right? And he is like I don't know that there has been, and this is not a knock on JJ by any means. I just don't think that there's been as purely talented of a quarterback that we've brought in, that we've been able to recruit to Michigan. So I think he's just got to be ready. I don't think there's a better option. I think that's where Mikey Keene, maybe if we do need somebody. Jason, you were dropping
taking a ton of like 2,000 some snaps or some shit, like leads college football. Like, holy crap, man. At least we know he ain't gonna fumble the fucking ball. I mean, unless he takes off and runs with it, we'll see, but still, off the snap, we're good.
Yeah.
Tons of experience there.
I think be ready for some freshman mistakes, be ready for some young mistakes.
Yeah.
The game is when we get in that Oklahoma game is going to be great for Bryce, good, bad, or indifferent, because it is going to show him the speed of the game. But also keep in mind what he was in spring ball, right? So he enrolled early, and he started getting reps in the spring. The guys at Big Ten Media Days talk about how, I think it was Bredesen, talked about his focus on learning the playbook, and even when he is not the one that's actually getting the reps, how dialed in he is on the rep, how dialed he is on what's supposed to be going on in that play, how dialed in he is on what the defense is doing in that play. So I think that I think there might be some bumps along the way, but he's going up against a great defense every day in practice too. So in the spring and all fall during camp, he's going to be going up against a defensive line that Sherrone Moore said is 10 deep, four off the edge, and then six guys that are going to rotate on the interior of the defensive line. And that 10 deep is probably going to be as good as any defensive line in the country. So when they're going good on good in practice, I think that he's going to have at least the speed of the defensive line at as high of a level as he's going to see anywhere. Now, granted, they're not going to hit him, but still to get in his face, to be disruptive, to make him slide in the pocket and scramble and step out of the pocket, I think that's going to help him as well.
Well, this offensive line needs it, from what we saw anyways last year. So, I mean, defensive line for a 10 deep, I mean, you got TJ Guy, Trey Williams, you got Benny, you got Derek Moore on the edge as well, too. So, it's still going to be important for Michigan to, with probably maybe besides Penn State, but like the best running back duo in the country with Marshall and Hayes. It's it's going to be still important for Michigan to play that ball constrictor game and still establish that running game to get Bryce comfortable. Yes, he's young. Does he act like he's young? Does he look like he's young? No. Shout out to his parents for that, but yeah, he's still going to make mistakes, but he's the guy for sure.
Yeah, he's a stud, and so that'll to segue into a few more things then on the Sherrone Moore side of things from Big Ten Media Days. Let's talk about Bryce while we're talking about Bryce, right? So, he's not going to come in. So he's pulling a page out of Harbaugh's book of not announcing a starter, right? And also making it so that Bryce Underwood, as a 17-year-old starting fall camp this week, doesn't walk into that locker room above anybody, right? Which is great. I completely get it. But one of the things that he was asked, because Bryce Underwood, now he's, I think 6'5", 230 is what they said his size up. That's a big dude. That's a big, young human being. But he was asked if they plan on running him, if they plan on utilizing his legs because he's an athletic quarterback. I would be surprised if they have a whole lot planned to utilize Bryce Underwood's legs. Number one, as a true freshman, I just don't think that's the game that they want to get him to play. I think this is a big
really good running backs and Max Bredesen.
Right?
Not yet.
Big long-term investment. I would expect. Yeah. I would expect his running the football to be more in line with JJ McCarthy in 2023 than JJ McCarthy in 21 or 22. Right. So I would think that he's probably not going to be running the ball a lot. And Sherrone said, if you're going to run your quarterback, you better have two. I don't know what's behind him. Right. I Mikey Keene, but I
think we got 3 or 4 probably solid running backs.
Right.
We got a pretty good room, and then Max as well too. So still gonna establish that.
And on the running back side of things, that was another one of my big takeaways is we are going to be in really good shape in the running back room. So 1A, 1B, Jordan Marshall, Justice Haynes, and I don't know who's going to be one, who's going to be who's 1A or who's 1B, but
probably Haynes right now is probably 1A.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a healthy rotation. I think I mentioned this before. Ronnie Brown, Cadillac Williams, two stud running backs, and I think Michigan is good. I mean, I think they're going to run the ball 50% of the time, at least, if not 55% of the time. So I'm pretty excited about the running back room. Some of the other guys elaborated on that a little bit, which we'll touch on in a few minutes. But then the two other things that stuck out is one, the offense and defensive line. So Sherrone Moore, and I don't know if this is coach speak or not, but said that he feels confident that Michigan has 10 guys on the offensive line this year, that they can go 10 deep, right? Now, we know, so Greg Crippen is a very veteran center. Giovanni Al-Hadi is a very veteran guard. We saw Evan Link. Andrew Babalola may end up being a freshman that gets
he's got to be. Yeah, he's going to be seeing the field. And even Evan Link, he struggled, but he was young. And, they maybe didn't have alternatives in that position, but, is still confident enough. He's got a ton of talent. I mean, they still talk him up quite a bit. So, I mean, he's still the guy.
Yeah. Andrew Sprague is another young guy that I think could play and have a pretty good season. So I think,
and then Al Hattie on the watch list too. So we're sitting. I mean, there's talent there. It's just shit. I'm just not going to be patient for it, man. I want that running game to get going. I want it for Bryce, and we got to get going. Oh, week 1 to work right away.
So I hope that is the the truth. I hope that our offensive line is in better shape than what it was last year. A couple things to keep in mind, though, is that's what Sherrone Moore does, right? Sherrone Moore built Michigan into a back-to-back Joe Moore award-winning offensive line with primarily 3- and 4-star guys that he ended up developing into NFL players. So on that side of it, I think that being able to develop and get a couple recruiting classes in that honestly were pretty solid recruiting classes. We recruited the offensive line position pretty well. That's where I could see it happening. Another thing that he highlighted is Chip Lindsey as the offensive coordinator, right? So his adjustments to surround himself with talented people at the coordinator positions. I think that he had something that he talked about with Chip Lindsey coming in and bringing a balanced offense. And even though he's ran more spread concepts than what we've seen at Michigan, at North Carolina, he also did produce just recently a first-round draft pick running back in Omarion Hampton, who, by the way, got drafted by Jim Harbaugh, right? So I think that it is going to be a pretty balanced system that we see this year. I don't know. I think the receivers room, even highlighting Donovan McCauley as a comparison to Nico Collins, I still think that our receiving room has room for showing me what they can do based off what we've seen, because there's a lot of unknown, mostly unknown.
Yeah,
there's not a whole lot of
I like more
production.
I like more, but yeah, it's I don't know. That one scares me the most as a fan. So we'll see about it.
Comment from us, the Victors Nation. Tigers won. Yeah.
Two back to back. Love it. We did it.
But any other thoughts on Sherrone Moore or on what anything that stuck out from Sherrone Moore before we move into some of the players?
No. Let's move on to the players. I got nothing after that.
Again, these types of things, Big Ten Media Days, they're super exciting because they basically signify that the start of football season is here. A lot of coach speak, a lot of players speak in these things, so you have to read between the lines.
Yeah.
And now I am getting to one thing that is coming back to me from Sherrone Moore, but we'll get to it in a minute. But
I was gonna say too, like everyone's like, "Oh, football season's coming. Like that means summer's almost over." Like, who gives a shit about summer? Who cares?
We still have the end.
No one cares
for a few weeks.
I know, but still, like, who cares? Like, it's all about football season.
Right.
All about no one gives a crap about summer. No one should. Like,
best season of the year.
Football season. Yes.
But Max Bredesen, Ernest Hausman, Derek Moore accompanied Sherrone Moore to Big Ten Media Days. Each of them, a lot of players speak in there, but a few takeaways. Start with Max Bredesen on the offensive side, because that's what we've been kind of talking about to this point the most. But the thing that stuck out the most to me is, number one, ownership. Ownership without throwing anybody under the bus for how shitty the offense was last year. There's probably a lot of, it's probably pretty easy to point fingers and say, you know what, we had a shitty offensive coordinator and we weren't put in a very good position to be successful. And we had a lot of new people learning their positions, right? Quarterback play was awful and whatever, right? None of that though. Instead, he highlighted learning. He highlighted the fact that Chip Lindsey is going to bring production. But speaking of the running back room, he highlighted how good the running backs were. And Jordan Marshall in particular, he singled out as a workhorse, a workout warrior in the weight room. He even said that he tells him that, Max Bredesen's the tight end fullback on the team, but he jokes around and says that Jordan Marshall should be the one blocking for him instead, which tells me that what we saw last year, that's just the beginning when it comes to Jordan Marshall.
He's like a Blake Corum.
I'm excited about it.
Just a freak. Need to lock him out. He just works out a lot. But yeah, I mean, he's going to be built like a brick shithouse. I mean, even last year as a freshman, so Mr. Ohio. I mean, Alabama wasn't missing a ton of guys except the 2 guys we got. So, Hayes and Payne had transferred to us. I mean, he was running circles around him basically. But yeah, he's built like a brick shithouse.
Yeah.
We got another comment coming in here too.
Thing about Lindsey is the fact that he runs a lot of R formations and running concepts. Main thing he does is RPOs and more passing concepts, which Michigan doesn't do.
Which, yes.
Yeah. So great thing about him. Yep.
Yes.
And then adding to it, Michigan can't be scared to use him in RPO packages. That might be somewhat, that might be where there's some new wrinkles that are built into it. Michigan has not utilized a lot of RPOs historically. You're absolutely right. That just hasn't necessarily been
the creativity. Yeah, the creativity of it, like it needs to be there. So yeah, I agree in like RPOs.
Last 7 years, I complained about Michigan only running a handful of route concepts. Until last year when we didn't throw the football down the field, I complained about never having like a designed screen pass to get a really athletic player ball in space.
And we literally, even last year with Kirk Campbell, like it just blew my mind how we did do something great and then we wouldn't stick to it. Or certain players as well, too. Like it just didn't make fucking sense.
Yeah, Michigan has a track record of not utilizing the players and putting them in the best position, especially, I will say, primarily at the receiver position. Right? Yeah. At the receiver position, that is absolutely true. Offensive lineman, tight end, running backs, minus, last year I would have absolutely loved to see Donovan Edwards featured as a receiving threat out of the backfield. And
which he's a threat.
Do that.
One of the best. It just doesn't make any sense.
But definitely at the receiver position, which is why I think it's been a tough position to recruit because not to use this phrase, but I'm going to use this phrase. Josh Gaddis came in and talked about speed and space, and this is exactly what that concept meant to be, is taking your best athletes and finding ways to get them the ball in space. So I agree, Antoine. Absolutely.
It would be a disaster if somehow you got lost with definitely from Ohio, can't fucking talk. By the way, fuck you, Owen. What's up, dude? But why don't you put your ass where your face is and we'll see you in November.
Yeah.
Thanks for commenting, Tyler.
Antoine, again, not only that, remember Donovan Edwards ran that wheel route and single-handedly beat Rutgers years ago. I know. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Sometimes I've heard for years, they're saving their playbook, etc. And then they don't ever actually open anything up. They still just run the same playbook.
Oh yeah. Dude, the creativity even last year was just a fucking struggle.
And I think that is going to be a Chip Lindsey improvement. I truly do think that Chip Lindsey is going to bring some more creativity into the offense. Yeah. And I think he's going to blend it well with the Michigan identity. The Michigan identity of being willing to put 6-7 offensive linemen on the field at a time and pound the ball down a motherfucker's throat if they have to. But then also, take advantage of having athletes and creating mismatches and getting some of these weapons out in space. So that's what stuck out with Bredesen, though, is how he talked about Lindsey, how he talked about some changes to the offense, and really what he talked about with the running back room. Any extra thoughts there, Jason, on anything that stuck out with Bredesen?
No, I mean, I have it all high level with all three players, so and just have it on one player.
Yeah, a lot of coach speak. Ernest Hausman, again, a lot of player speak. A lot of player speak there. He did highlight how impressive Bryce Underwood's been since he joined the team. Again, it's not like he's going to get a question.
Yeah, I mean, I think they all talked. So like right when he walked into like on campus, like they talked about his maturity. Like he doesn't look 17, he doesn't act 17. So some of the things like we talked about as well too, and then strong work ethic as well too. So again, shout out to his parents. But yeah, I mean he's not like a normal 17-year-old. Just not. We've been talking about that all pod, but
he highlighted the freak show of Jayshawn Barham. And that leads me to another thing to tie back to what Sherrone Moore was talking about.
Yeah.
Is the linebacker room. So we've got, we've just been turning out linebacker cores that are studly in recent years, and I think we got another one right now. And I think we got one for a few years. I think with Ernest Hausman and Jayshawn Barham. I would not be surprised to see Jayshawn Barham as one of our leading sack getters this year, because he is an athletic freak. But then we've got Jimmy Rolder, and someone that Sherrone Moore said is going to take the college football world by the storm, Cole Sullivan. So I think we're going to be really solid. That stuck out to me as well, between what not only Sherrone Moore said, but what Ernest Hausman was talking about. I think that our linebacking core is going to be studly, and I'm excited to see if Cole Sullivan is actually going to take the college football world by storm. That means we're 4 deep at the linebacker position with guys that are potentially NFL caliber linebackers, and that's awesome. So if we're 10 deep at defensive line and 4 deep at linebacker, whew.
We got to get Brolder, we got to get his mom on the pod.
Yeah.
That's happening. I mean, they're fucking quick. Barham in the right spot last year. Sometimes a little too quick, but he was right there. He might have jumped the gun on some holes, but back to that Ohio State, that weird guy too that commented as well too. Like, it is true. Your greatest enemy is your greatest admirer.
It's true.
This is so true with Ohio State fans. I don't know why the fuck they're so obsessed with us, but
that's true. If anyone listens to like Ohio State podcast by chance, I it's like. So now we're doing the same thing. So I'm gonna come on.
I know. We talk shit about Ohio State, around, but still, it's true.
But we hardly ever talk about Ohio State on this podcast because it's a Michigan podcast. We've got some Ohio State podcasts that we know, and occasionally I'll tune in. They talk about Michigan on every fucking podcast. They talk about Michigan as much as they talk about Ohio State.
The championship was important, then it was the scrimmage, and now the season's starting. Now it's like we got to beat Michigan. It's like, there's just like seriously nothing to do in Ohio. Like, I don't know if the fucking Taco Bells suck or what, but like there's just like nothing to fucking do there. But it's true, like I said, your greatest enemy is your greatest admirer. Remember that down, people.
So tune in, like, subscribe, follow us.
That comment was funny.
Yeah,
that comment was funny. I did like that though.
And then the last person, Derek Moore. So speaking of Ohio State, reason that I wanted to bring him up last is, again, players speak, but Ohio State reporters asking these young kids questions, but asked him what he thought about Ohio State winning the national championship last year. Right. So the things that stuck out to me weren't necessarily what he said about the team, because it meshed in and it blended in for the most part with what everyone else was saying. But it was his answer to the question about Ohio State. It was his answer that, is it really real if they didn't beat Michigan? Right. And
to them, he should be in fucking prison.
And then he went. He elaborated on that, and then he did. He did go on to say, congratulations to them. They won it. No one can take it away from them. But he did start throwing a little shade back at him, saying, it's really that impressive if they couldn't beat us. So love that. And then he did elaborate on that because they did ask about the flag planting and what his thoughts were on the new law or the proposed law that that would be a crime. And he said, seriously, like I'm a criminal now. That that for weeks after that, all he saw was his picture with the fact that he is a criminal for running around with a flag and planting a flag on the field.
It's just a crybaby syndrome shit. We got to, Anton's got like a ton of comments here, but I got to start with his most recent one. Buckeye Scoop is like the tabloid. Dude, Buckeye Scoop is the tabloid of sports. Like, that is 110% true. They're even scamming for likes out of their own fan base. They're fucking horrible, dude. They don't know shit. They don't have insiders. They always say they have insiders, but they don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
And then another one. We got to go to this next one about him. Jack Sawyer is just mad because he don't have no PP pants to put on his neck. Yeah.
No gold pants.
Yeah, no, that's true. A couple of Antoine's other comments here, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Lindsay fits us great. He runs our concepts, add a little passing spice to us. Absolutely. It's
not who I originally wanted. I was, really keen in, last year on LSU's offensive coordinator and the relationship with Bryce Underwood. But yeah, it's a home run hire for sure.
We're gonna wear teams out with a platoon of defensive linemen coming in and rotating.
Yeah.
We're gonna have our hockey rotation. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. This next comment, this is big in today's college football. So many games that we're playing. Yeah, especially, I mean, if you make a postseason run, that's a 17 game season. I mean, that's a long college football season.
Still recruiting, transfer portal. It's a lot. It's like 3 jobs.
Sullivan's going to be nice. Gosh, I hope so.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I know that a lot of people are high on him coming in. And then Draper, no one even talks about the OH Natty. One of my nephews is an Ohio fan, and his trash talk is trash.
I can't wait to meet him in person. It's going to be fucking awesome. But it's like, I don't know. They just need help. Just don't touch them.
For sure. But anyways, I mean, so those are some of the big takeaways from Big Ten Media Days. A lot of coach speak, a lot of players speak. But if you read between the lines, I think if, depth at defensive line, Sherrone Moore also said that Wink Martindale said he's having the most fun that he's ever had coaching football. If he picks up where he left off next year, and this is something that Ernest Hausman and Derek Moore talked about too, is that now coming into year 2, they're on the same page. Wink is on the same page with them. They're on the same page with Wink.
Yep.
Same terminology. I think our defense is going to be steady. And I think that going back to some Bryce Underwood talk, I think that the thing that's going to help him out the most is going to be the fact that we have a strong defense. And if our offensive line is truly taking the step forward that Sherrone Moore says we are, if we have a good defense and an offensive line that can help grind the football, that's going to protect him. That's going to help Bryce Underwood develop into the quarterback that we want him.
I agree. I'm laughing so fucking hard at this comment right now. That's why I was laughing.
JD Vance dropped that Raggedy trophy.
On purpose, yeah.
Antoine, the problem with Wink is he thought he was coaching NFL players who had to learn these difficult concepts. He did. Absolutely. And, I think there's such a small discrepancy between talent in the NFL that you really like offensive coordinators, defensive coordinator, like offensive coordinators are always just trying to generate mismatches. Like that's what they do in the NFL is they've got motion all over the fucking place and they're really just trying to find mismatches and that they can create. And it almost was like he just assumed that there were no mismatches because he was coaching at Michigan. And so I almost all of us for the first half of the season could call a blitz and man coverage on 3rd and long. And almost every single time you could tell that the opponent's offense knew that too. And they found a mismatch.
And
that was our weakest thing was playing man coverage.
Time, communication, in the secondary as well too, but just the chemistry between him and his players in that transition period, it was a bitch. Then Draper, yeah, I agree with Anton. Last year, wing blitz heavy, but our boys were still learning. Yeah, so still learning, but yeah, you could fucking tell like right away. But like, that's what he's known for. He was like blitzing higher percentage than when Don Brown was here. And Don Brown's defense, old school at the Viper position, that shit worked. It doesn't work against good teams though.
Oh.
Top 15, top 10 with Don Brown defense was horrible. But that's what I was looking into. But the fact that you have a coach took him a little bit, but the fact that you have a coach willing to make adjustments and make changes when he still has that old school mentality in him, that's awesome. I love it.
A couple more comments. 100% Draper out from Antoine. And then need to introduce you boys to the other Michigan people from other channels. You need to come on to the other shows. Would love to. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We used to do it in the past a couple years ago. So.
Yeah, and vice versa. Bring some people onto our shows without a doubt. So, you know, I don't know. I'm excited for football season now. Even if there's a lot of coach speak, I'm pretty excited about some of the things that I think we've got cooking, especially just here in feeling the focus come from the guys, feeling the focus come from Sherrone Moore, feeling some confidence. So one last thing we wanted to dive into as we head into fall camp is brief updates on NCAA investigations into Michigan. So we don't have any inside information or anything, but just reading the tea leaves of what's been going on. I don't expect anything big. I right now we've put a suspension potentially onto Sherrone Moore for weeks 3 and 4, right, and a 2-game suspension. I don't think that there's going to be anything much more egregious than that comes down. Just reading between the lines, when you've got the commissioner of the Big Ten that writes a letter to the NCAA saying that no further action is necessary as far as punishment, and in addition to that, you've got Conor Stalions reemerging on social media and talking back, and then combine those things with the recruiting momentum that we picked up this summer. Yeah. I don't think there's a ton of concern about what Ohio State fans and Michigan State fans have wet dreams about, which would be a severe punishment that they call the hammer for some reason.
No, I mean it's because they got bought into the ESPN hype that this was the biggest like scandal in history. It's like, you guys will believe anything. It's fucking embarrassing, but.
Well, I love. Did you hear Conor Stalions? Go ahead and pull up some of those comments. I'm going to pull up a Conor Stalions.
Yeah, I got one too.
So for those of you that seen it or maybe haven't seen it, a couple of weeks ago, Brett McMurphy posted an article with an interview with Sonny Dykes, and Sonny Dykes talked about how TCU changes play calls before the college football playoff semifinal because they wanted to trick Michigan, and that was a factor to why they won. Conor Stalions responded to that tweet, and this is one of the things that tells me that if there was some big penalties that were coming, I feel like he would
keeping his mouth shut.
But to be tipped off that your next opponent is good at stealing signals is like saying you were tipped off that you had an upcoming game. To save everybody's time so we can move on from the same recycled story from Coach Dykes, I'll provide you more details and we can wrap this up. We lost because we turned the ball over and had a poor game tackling, and TCU played well. Congratulations. The same way we won the Natty when I was not with the program, because we blocked well, tackled well, and took care of the rock. Welcome to the game of football. Since people are so intrigued by signals, the entire air raid communication system is the offensive coordinator signaling to the quarterback, then the quarterback signaling to the receivers. USC, TCU, etc. It's all the same. They're all the same signals too. And TCU kept everything from the coordinator to the QB the same, but had dummy signals and some new signals from the quarterback to receivers. But that didn't matter because I'm watching the coach and seeing what they changed in real time, similar to Ohio State changing their signals. They changed their route concepts and some run concepts, not their formation and pass protection signals, which is all I cared about. To say anyone fooled me is admitting that you have no idea how signal deciphering and protecting works. No team has ever changed signals, meaning they don't recycle the same signal to have a different meaning, because that would confuse the 18-year-olds on the field more than it would confuse me. They simply create new signals. And if I see a new signal, I'm not guessing what it means. There were games where I relayed information 0% of the time, all the way through 99% of the time. No one is forcing you to signal. Rutgers and Minnesota huddled, didn't signal. Nebraska didn't signal until the second quarter when they were down 14-0. Even Michigan didn't signal on offense. If you don't want teams to steal your signs, then don't signal. Any team that signals on offense is trying to force the defense to signal so they can steal it. There's really no other advantage unless you're trying to prevent a sub or it's 2-minute. If that weren't true, you'd see the entire NFL go up tempo to find advantages, but you don't. And it's still going on today in college with Coach Combs. Notice how teams still signal is because they're going up tempo. The continuous attempt to correlate signals to any wins and losses at Michigan is funny. There were 7 games in my time at Michigan where I knew almost every signal the whole game. 2021 MSU, 2022 MSU, 2022 Penn State, 2022 Ohio State, 2022 TCU, 2021 Georgia, and 2021 Wisconsin. We lost 3 of those games because we didn't tackle well, and Georgia was historically good. We won the 4 other games because we dominated the line of scrimmage and we tackled well. Blocking, ball security, tackling, run fits, and coverage tools, that's football. This is not rocket science. I thought that was a fucking awesome response.
I think he's just smart. He's just really fucking smart. Smart dude. I'll read one so that he responded. Go ahead. Finish it.
A great response too, right? Great response to articles coming in and all the shit that he's had to stay silent about, right? And that tells me now that there's probably not a whole lot coming.
And he was in attendance at that hearing as well too.
Yeah,
he was there. So yes, that is a telltale sign as well too. So Conor Stalions' response to Jack Sawyer's on Michigan sign stealing versus Ohio State. Jack Sawyer, quote unquote, we left the field. We were like, this feels weird. And I think he goes on to say that, like, yeah, we felt like we were kicking the crap in a ball game. But there you are, ass on the fucking ground, and then Cornelius Johnson scores a fucking touchdown as well, too. Like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? How did you dominate that whole fucking game? Anyways, Conor Stalions, number 1. Jack is saying Ohio State never ran a slot double wide formation all year. Pull up any of their games on YouTube, and so I love that he uses YouTube here. And you'll see them run that look, because sign stealing, signaling, it's not illegal. It's how it potentially was done, even though in 2021, the NCAA said their own rule was great and it wouldn't provide a competitive advantage for a team winning if it was used. But yet they're still hard on their ass. Pretty much a witch hunt for Jim. Number 2, their signal for this play was the letter Y. Tight end and 99% of their offenses delay of the game sign, so why delay? Wonder what this will be. Jack is admitting they never ran it before. Your head coach, number 4 slot, your head coach already admitted that you changed the signs for us, which he did say that. Okay? So you should have won the game then, right? Because sign stealing dictates 100% of the game. If you're saying you changed the signals already, you got a tip. I'll stop here. I'm at 4 bullet points, maybe at a 5th in November. Dude, this is my point. I mean, just banking off of Conor Stalions. So, Big Ten commissioner, real quick, sent the letter to the NCAA saying there was no further punishment needed in regards to the sign stealing case or the scheme, whatever you want to call it. Central Michigan University received their NOA from the NCAA a couple of days ago, I believe. They're alleged to have hired Stalions on to assist them against Michigan State, and no ties involved in Michigan. So there would be nothing coming back to our university or our program. So my point is, like, with all this other shit, like, it's the people that we're dealing with, right? It's the media that really pushed this stupid ass topic because it's Michigan. If it was any other school, it wouldn't be a problem. But it doesn't really matter. Our rivals will always think we cheated. And to be honest, Derek, I want them to. I want them to think that. We've already seen the good stuff that's already come of this. So, like, I want them to continue to have that excuse mentality. I want these programs to think about that topic every single time they step on the field in Michigan. That weakness shows. We've showed it after this bullshit all came up. And then won a national championship in 23 and still fucking beat you. So, like, it's now instilled in their programs, their fan base, their culture, and you can see it yet today. So we're just talking about some of the things with the TCU's head coach and then Jack Sawyer as well, too. So, like, the excuses of ex-players. So I'm not saying this to, like, defend anything or defend shit or, like, say I told you so or whatever. We've been talking about this for how fucking long. And, like, we told you nothing was going to happen. I'm not saying that to bring that topic back up. I could care less about that. But I'm bringing it up to tell people that the fact that losing in today's culture doesn't mean that you don't want it just means you don't want to face adversity. It means that you don't want to work harder if you take an L, right? So instead, there's got to be nothing wrong with you. You're perfect. Like, also, Derek, I'm pretty sure Sharton fans and Suckeye fans grew up with participation trophies. Like, they had to have. For real. They had to have. Like, you lost fair and square. There's nothing to do with sign stealing. You got your ass kicked. You couldn't even fucking tackle, for Christ's sake. And it's hard for you to handle mentally. And what I'm trying to say is, like I said earlier, like, I'm not bringing this up. I'm not bringing this up to say I told you so or nothing was going to happen or you guys are making it. Because you're always going to have that mentality that Michigan cheated because you lost. And much like your personal lives, I'm sure, for most of our Rivals fans, they can't handle losses in their life because they're weak. So what I'm trying to say is, like, I pity you. It's just pathetic. Grow up. Be a man. You fucking lost. Grow up here. On to the next game. And you should want to better yourself. Instead, you just make excuses and you can complain. But that's good because I want that to still be instilled in your culture because it's benefiting us. And thanks for the fuel for 23 from the media and our rivals as well, too, because you pretty much pushed us to a national championship. Dumbasses.
Yeah.
For real. How dumb are they?
Let's catch up on a few more comments here before we finish up. Yeah. Antoine, by the way, if you boys know any other Ohio State people, ask them if it's a big deal that Jim knows nothing, actually knows Ohio State's offensive plays. Right. Jim Knowles went to Penn State, and he knows probably the whole Ohio State offensive playbook, right? Are they going to completely redo their playbook? I doubt it. Ohio State actually knew that Michigan knew their plays a few years ago, so Ohio State don't have the excuse. Why didn't you change your signals, or why didn't you just fucking huddle up and call a play in the huddle?
Exactly what Jack Sawyer's point was. He's saying that, Ryan Day literally said they changed their fucking plays. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Jack Sawyer doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
I wonder if Patricia will run a stupid system with Ohio State, 3-4 defense when Ohio State doesn't have the personnel for it. I freaking hope so. I hope that he has the same growing pains that Wink had, but doesn't actually grow out of him. Jim Knowles and Larry Johnson fell out about that because Larry didn't want to run the 3-down lineman because that doesn't really work in the Big Ten. It doesn't. The 3-4 defense in general, I mean, you've got to have perfect personnel, and it's hard to recruit perfect personnel. You've got to have three defensive linemen that can two gap, 2 outside linebackers that are hybrid defensive ends but have the ability to drop back into space and cover. The inside linebackers are probably the most common position that you can fill because it's not that much different than being a middle linebacker. But The defensive line and the outside linebackers is tough. You've got to have the perfect guys for it. There's just not the depth for it.
I don't even run that into fucking football.
I mean, some
depends
teams
on what offense, but yeah, it depends on what you have as far as players go, but it just doesn't work.
Some NFL teams have had a lot of success with it, with perfect personnel over the years. The 49ers back in the day when they had Justin Smith, Alden Smith.
It's kind of bias coming from
Patrick Willis, Navarro Bowman. Right, but that was like the elite. That was the elite 3-4 defense. But it was perfectly built. Another question: will Penn State run 3-down lineman systems? I don't know. I hope so, but I doubt it. I would imagine that they're gonna be 4-down linemen.
We'll see them later on, but yeah.
Ohio State builds their team backwards. They get a bunch of wide receivers before they deal with the trenches. That is actually spot on. And that was hey, you know what? It worked. They won a national championship, even though they lost to us. So they lost the real national championship. But they absolutely do. And so if you look at the early Urban Meyer era to the end of the Urban Meyer era and the Ryan Day era, they weren't recruiting receivers and quarterbacks at the clips that they are right now. They were not bringing in the top end premium talent at those positions. They're bringing in good players, but those teams were built off of running the ball, and they were tougher. At some point in time, they started building their team backwards, and that's where they used to be a mismatch for us. Because of the system that they ran. And then once they got as athletic as they did at wide receiver and as talented at quarterback, they were a mismatch for us because our team wasn't built to keep up with it. Now it's just the opposite. Now we're a mismatch for them because they aren't built to have a fist fight.
They try to change their game. Whoever is leading in the rushing yards in the game will win the game the last, how many years? A lot of years. So they try to change their offensive strategy to fit that, and they can't do it. So as soon as they hit the trenches, O-line for our D-line, it just doesn't work out. It's too late.
Yeah Draper, every team we face will play scared because they think we're stallion their signs.
It's the back of their head every time. I want it to be. That's exactly what it is. It helps us a little bit too because they think they deserve some shit, like justification. They're trying to justify their L's, and they're not going to be because they're trying to understand the fact of like their culture as well too is not built for that. It's all excuses. Right. So the flag planting shit in Columbus as well too. They try to come after us for that. They throw a big fucking hissy fit They cannot take an L. They're built on. They think they're built on perfection and God's greatest shit, and they're not. And that's their downfall. And we just prey on those weaknesses. So, Draper, you're right. I mean, if that's in the back of their head and that's what the culture is built on, it's excusism, like Dave Portner, I would say. We feed off of that. It's a joke. Get over it, right?
Antoine, 100% talking about when we were talking about the 3-4 defense. To run a 3-4, you've got to have certain types of linebackers in the middle, big ones. They've got to be able to get off blocks, right? And you have to have the nose tackles. There's a whole different personnel than what they're used to having, and that's what's hard to have interchangeably is the linebackers that can play in space but have the ability to get off blocks from offensive linemen that get to the second level. And that nose tackle position is, it's crucial, but the defensive end position for the 3-4 is crucial too, to find players that are the defensive tackle bodies, and to have a zero tackle, a nose tackle that can control the middle of the line of scrimmage, and then two defensive ends that have the ability to two gap, which means that in a 4-3 system. So if I'm speaking a foreign language for anyone out there, in a 4-3 system, a lot of times what you have is a linebackers and defensive linemen each have a gap responsibility, and it's one gap. When you go to a 3-4, that means that the defensive linemen have to control two gaps. So they're responsible for both gaps that go around a certain player. And that means that they have to be able to dominate that player. Think about this. Took them 5 years with 5-star players to beat us. And even then, most of the best players were from other teams. Yeah. So where is the so-called development? They get pre-made players. Absolutely. And I think Sherrone Moore, maybe I'm mixing things up, but I think Sherrone Moore had mentioned that to have the best players, you have to recruit them, you have to keep them, you have to develop them. All right. And Michigan's done a fantastic job developing players over the last few years. Right now, I think right now we're on the trend of doing a better job at consistently recruiting them.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you to everyone that tuned in. Reminder, follow our podcast shows on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, hit like, drop some comments, drop some thoughts about your takeaways from Big Ten Media Days and any thoughts or opinions on the pending NCAA investigation, which we should have something coming from
in a
that.
Few weeks. I think in 2
month.
to 3 weeks we should be.
Yep, for sure. If you haven't yet, if you have a Spotify account or have an Apple phone, go find us on Spotify and Apple Pods, and be sure to give us a follow there. Any friends that you have that are Michigan fans, recommend the show to them. Recommend the Facebook group to them. We appreciate all the help we can get as we continue to grow a community of Michigan fans.
Yep. Facebook, we're trying to get to 20,000 for this year, and then all subscriptions are free. So anything you guys can do to help, like Derek said, to push your Michigan people to our pages, because we got a lot of them. We have like fucking 7 or 8 social media platforms. It's crazy. And our public page newly on Facebook as well, too. So Appreciate everyone's support. Appreciate all the comments.
Finish it off with the Fisher Price hammer.
Antoine, yep. Yeah, not good quality hammers. But yeah, you could probably get that shit on Harbor Freight. But yeah, appreciate all the comments, Draper, Antoine as well too. Thanks for making it interesting again tonight, and then everyone else that commented as well. Brett, Corey, appreciate your time and thanks for following. If you guys got anything else, just let us know, because we got another one coming next week, and we're going to continue to push. So
yeah, so be sure to follow. Yeah, be sure to follow along. We've got a big surprise podcast coming up in a couple of weeks. But also as we get into fall camp, we'll start talking about anything we're hearing, but expectations as we approach the season. We'll start previewing the offense, previewing the defense, previewing the season.
Yeah. And I can't wait for the one. It's going to be a unique episode that we do in the next couple of weeks. So it's regarding nonprofit. So can't wait.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah,
but
thanks,
to quote our good friend Dre, who's not here with us tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Love one another, respect one another, and always go blue.
Go blue.